Hi, I'm Karen Shuey, the political reporter here at Lancaster Newspapers, and we're being joined with Terry Madonna from FNM. He's the pollster there and a political scientist and the expert in everything statewide politics. So we're going to be talking with him a little bit about the primary results and what to look forward to in the fall. Thanks for joining us, Terry.
Thanks for having me.
So the first question is, Tom Wolf completely, he kind of destroyed the competition. He won in all the counties. In every county he had the majority. So why do you think he was so successful?
Well, first of all, what's fascinating about this campaign, and something we rarely see, is that after the first 3 weeks of the primary, the election was basically over. What do I mean by that? Well, when the primary got engaged, Tom Wolf does a series of commercials, 3 weeks out of the block, immediately takes a substantial lead, depending on the poll, it's 33, 35, 38%. That's his percentage of the total Democratic vote. If you look before the commercials, he was at 3 and 4%. What's fascinating is that we then have a 2-month campaign, more than 2 months. Nothing changed. In fact, if anything, Wolf gets stronger, despite a series of negative attacks, particularly by Treasurer Rob McCord and Congresswoman Allison Schwartz, who went after him pretty seriously for a variety of things. His campaign only grew stronger. So he actually improved as the negatives were thrown. And in the end, it seemed as though their campaigns, collapse might be too strong a word, but certainly he burst into an even bigger lead, getting the lion's share of the undecided votes who cast votes, and the folks who told us they lean one way or another, not too definitive a choice, but lean one way or another. So that was very, very decisive. And if you'd have guessed that at the outset, if you had sat down and made a wager, I would have preferred to win the lottery today, the 100 and whatever that is, 90 million, but I didn't buy a ticket, so that doesn't help me. But if you had last September, October, November, even January 1 of this year said who's going to win, I don't think you would have predicted that he would win.
The person that was predicted to win was Allison Schwartz, Congressman Allison Schwartz. And what was kind of interesting is even in Montgomery County, where she represented the constituents in Congress and in the state Senate before that, Tom Wolf actually ended up winning. Why do you think things fell apart for her?
Well, I think that she never really developed a message that resonated with voters, whether they be in her own county or outside of her county, and Wolf ended up with a message that was much stronger and more compelling. I think also Democratic voters, were looking for a non-conventional may be not the right word. He ran as, I'm not a politician. And in this environment with tremendous distrust of politics and politicians, I think that benefited him enormously. She also is a member of an institution that is not exactly held in the highest regard. Only about 13, 14% of the voters give Congress have a favorable opinion of Congress. So she comes out of an institution that's not favorably regarded. She never developed a campaign that resonated with voters, never developed an attachment to the issues that voters care about, and simply got blown away, as did everybody else. The other point is that Rob McCord is also from Montgomery County. So you got two candidates, and Katie McGinty is from Chester County, a neighboring county.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all, in a sense, from that little in terms of numbers, but relatively close geography from each other, and they didn't win their own counties.
Does winning by this large of a margin mean more momentum for Tom Wolf leading into the fall election?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. The other way to think about this, and I think this is important, runs something like this. All four Democratic candidates were so similar on so many of the issues that it wasn't a vote against anyone. So the McCord voters weren't voting for McCord because they disliked Tom Wolf. or disliked Allison Schwartz or disliked Katie McGinty. McGinty's supporters similarly. This was not against somebody. This was for a particular candidate. In fact, all four candidates are so similar that the Democrats would have probably been just as happy with any of the four in terms of what they would likely to do if elected. So as we sit here and chat about this, there's perfect unity in the Democrats. As I joked last night, I said it'll take the unions and the political leaders of this state, Democratic leaders, about 15 minutes to be on board. You know, you don't have to go have a breakfast to have a discussion about whether or not you're going to get somebody's support. If you're Tom Wolf, they're going to flood into his Jeep, you know, as they drive around and figure out, and you know, and have a love fest. It's a love fest. It's not, you know, that's basically the bottom line here.
Do you think there's any animosity, though, that he did use $10 million to help finance this campaign and run these commercials? Do you think there'll be any blowback or contention that he maybe, you know, bought the election?
Elected rich people since the Republic was founded. I seem to remember names like Roosevelt, Kennedy, Rockefeller, Bloomberg. We can go through the list. The question is not whether he self-funded. The only question was there anything untoward, illegal, immoral about how he got the self-funded money? And as you know, the question was raised during the campaign about $4.5 million of the $10 million he gave his campaign. The loan, what was the source of the loan? Reporters actually looked at the documents and found nothing. Nothing came out of that. So just because someone's wealthy and gives to their own campaign is not essentially an issue. If you had trouble, if you raised it illegally or immorally, if you abuse somebody to get the money, you know, if you have those kinds of problems, that's one thing. But no one has demonstrated that. So I don't think any aspect of the self-funding is really a problem.
So do you think Corbett will try to use that against him?
Well, I mean, look, the governor's going to get a lot of money from a lot of wealthy people, and you know, Republicans in general, you know, lots of support from business. Democrats, lots of support from labor. I don't. There'll be big money contributions. I do not see that as a central issue. I really don't. I could be wrong. We'll find out. I think issue Corbett's going to use is tax and spend liberal. Mm-hmm. Put the state back into a fiscal hole. All the programs that Wolf wants to do, he's going to say, are going to put the state into a debt we're not likely to recover from until you know, another ice age comes. No, in this case, until global warming is complete. So I think you get the point. I think there's issues that Corbett will use, but I don't think lending the campaign is likely to be one.
Do you expect this race to get negative, to get nasty?
It's already gotten negative and nasty because Corbett ran ads in the Democratic primary and issued flyers, tax and spend, you know, the things we're talking about. So I don't think that's going to change. I mean, I think we're pretty much going to see that remain, you know, will remain the case.
Well, do you think that the fact that the Democratic race got a little heated, do you think that helps Wolf as he's facing Corbett now? Do you think that was a good experience for him, or do you think that now all those issues are going to be dredged up by the GOP?
Yeah.
That they gave them more ammunition.
Yeah. I think that campaigns have an inexhaustible supply of things they can come up with that they're likely to use. Whether they matter or not is the other issue. Look, the reason the negative campaigns against Wolf didn't work essentially can be explained this way. For negatives to work, they have to be credible, fair, and the voters have to care about them. If you fail those tests, one or more of them, negatives aren't going to work. So whatever gets involved, the loan didn't work, the race issue didn't work, and, well, he only is a businessman, he can't run a government. That argument didn't work, at least in the Democratic primary, because it failed one or more of those three tests. So I don't know at this point what anyone will find out about anybody else, but knowing candidates and campaigns the way I do, they'll look for something. And they usually can find something. The question is, Well, the voters think it's credible, fair, and you get the next one. Is it going to matter to them?
Mhm.
If you bring up something so totally irrelevant that they don't think is important, then so what? Goodbye. Who cares?
What do you think are going to be the most important issues coming into the fall?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. We know what it is. It's going to be education.
When
Education, bar none.
when you look at the voter turnout, it was really kind of pathetic across the whole state. You had 20% turnout from Democrats, and
Right.
just really low turnout. Why do you think that is? Do you think
Well,
that it was
because
because
no,
Wolf
you
was
have more.
leading in the polls, or I think we've lost Terry. I think we've got disconnected. We'll be trying to fix that. And just stand by and see if this problem can be fixed. Digital editor Tom Merce is trying to reestablish a connection with Terry Madonna. Well, we're having technical difficulties. It doesn't look like we can reach Terry at this time, so we will try again later. Thank you.